Good times, good times, good times. I'm going to do the thing where I start talking about the homework and then they cut us off for announcements, but at least need to make sure that we're good right there. One thing they did throw this word in yesterday. I tried to highlight it in class, but I only did it once. Inclusive means it is included. So that means or equal to. So number 2, which by the way, that is true. I've coached girls basketball a very, very long time. You need closed circles and brackets.
Good morning, DMS.
Let's go.
Please stand for the pledge
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. And if you feel you need to wheel yourself over there, you have access to this as well. Can anybody follow my basketball in here?
Today is Thursday, September 11th, 2023.
You're on your way now. You're on your way.
Attention students interested in healthcare, medical careers, or helping others, join our middle school HOSA class. Fill out the Google form on Schoology to sign up and plan to stay after school for our first meeting on October 7th. An activity bus will be available. Don't miss the chance to get involved.
The Foxes cross-country team found the right amount of force when they traveled to Plum yesterday for another meet. The Foxes tamed the Mustangs.
All we do is play
for the boys
Plum.
and
I
girls
think every
to the
announcement's
National
Plum. I'm sick of them.
On the girls' side, the Lady Sprint led
Is
the way
anybody
for
sick of them?
Hannah Lynn,
Sick of
Josie
Plum?
Klein, Naomi Thorne, and with the battle down the chute, Audrey Conside took the lead against
Tired
the
of
local
them.
group. The boys were led by Photo Phoenix from Wilson Holstein and New Lensburg, finishing first and second, and then Michael Athanusik, Bennett Gamblin, and Sam Barknow. Overall, the Foxes had 13 runners finish before any Plum runners crossed the line. The Foxes will take on Avonworth next Wednesday to continue the season.
Yesterday, the DMS football team had a signature win against Seneca Valley, shutting down the Raiders.
Sick of them too. Anybody sick of Seneca Valley? Everything's Seneca Valley. Tired of them.
5 touchdowns in the first half. The defense gave up the first down in the first half, while Cameron Johnson dominated at middle linebacker. Special teams resigned supreme as Nick Schultz pinned them deep throughout the game. Nick was also the first DMS kicker to make a field goal in 9 years, scoring 4 consecutive extra points. Congratulations to the DMS football and a great win.
Please dismiss the 7th grade boys soccer team at 2:55 p.m. today for their home game against North Allegheny. Good luck, Foxes. Tomorrow is FC Crowd Day. Wear your favorite Fox chapel gear or red, black, and white.
Will the following students please report to the office at the end of this period? Allison Lang, Alexandra Duffala, Gabriel Peel, Greta Straub, and Grace Smith.
Have a great day, DMS.
Okay, we're back from the ads at this point. 3 through 8. Couple things. They just said interval notation. You didn't have to make a graph. Make sure you read the directions carefully. They'll always tell you what they want. Anybody recognize number 7? Same one from class. Good job if you recognize that. If you didn't, oh well, that happens occasionally. Number 8, reminder, you are going to have to flip the sign with number 8. Okay, so I multiplied through by 9. What did I do from here to here? I know the answer. I need you to tell me. What did I do from here to here? Subtract 6 everywhere. From here, you're either multiplying or dividing by -1. It doesn't matter. But you do have to reverse this and reverse that. Reverse, reverse. Okay? You get that idea. Okay? How do we look it up through 8? Good? Not good? Pretty good? Okay? Graphs. I did tell you yesterday, with these, I just need where the circles are. I don't need you spending 25 minutes making number lines. I don't need a scale. What I'm showing in the answer key is more than good enough. Yesterday was your first chance at ORs. However, did anybody notice anything about number 13?
Pardon the interruption. One more announcement. There is a meeting for all members of the musical cast and crew today after school in the DMS auditorium. All members of the cast and crew should plan to attend. The meeting will end at 5. Please be sure to arrange for a ride home.
I mean, let's just not even have class at this point, right? Okay. 13 was a little funky. You might have been confused by it, but I want to talk about it very briefly. It's an OR. Sometimes ORs change. So what do you do here? Subtract 5, divide by 4. D is less than or equal to 2. So you're like, all right, I got this. Boom, boom. Then you solve this one. You add 2, you divide by 7, okay? Or sorry, I shaded wrong. I got excited. D is greater than or equal to 2 is my first one. Then you do this one, and you solve it. You get D is less than 2. That's open and to the left. What's going on? It's everything. They combined to take an OR and make it IMS. It doesn't happen often, but weird things do happen. Sometimes an OR becomes an AND, or it becomes this. It doesn't happen very, I would say like 1 out of every 50 this probably happens. Okay, but it can happen occasionally. Okay? I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to go over. We go with the homework? We have to be. We got to move on. Okay, a couple quick notes. Wait, before you put that away. 1, if you haven't got me the guidelines signed yet, there's a couple of you. I need them in the next couple of days, otherwise I'm calling home. Okay, most of you. Next, please make sure you submit your homework. You're doing a good job. I understand some of you are forgetting. If you forget and you do it later that night or the next day, that is fine for now. At some point, it's not going to be fine. If you ever wonder, why am I punching in a missing or a 0? That is usually to get your attention. I didn't get it. Most of you right now, if I plug in missing, your first thought is going to be, geez, I did it, I forgot. You should immediately submit it when you have a moment. You're still in the grace period. You will not be in the grace period much longer. You need to remember to submit it when you're done. Please get into that habit. Okay? Questions about that? Overall, you're off to a good start. You've got to clean it up a little bit. Okay, let's go to 3-7 now, the classwork. Also, thank you to those of you that voted in the Schoology poll. I just put that this morning. Wasn't that many people?
Absolutely.
There's still time later.
Like it was, that's a lot.
Okay, here we go. This section's kind of heavy. It's very doable, but it's a lot of new stuff. We're going to talk a lot about this today. Let's just start out with you having a very brief conversation with somebody around you. Anything that you know or remember about this. Go.
Someone there was live.
Got the chair. She can kind of do that. Okay, that was brief. That was brief. That's all I wanted. Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you. You have a little bit of knowledge with absolute value. There's probably no chance that you've done the things we're going to do with it today, so I would pay very careful attention. I'm going to work ahead in case we run into issues here. Okay, things that you could have said. Absolute value is a number's distance from 0 on a number line. I'm not sure if that came up in any of your conversations. That's the formal definition of absolute value. Since absolute value represents distance, it will never, ever, ever be negative. That should have been covered last year. For a lot of you, that might be all you know about absolute value, but that's enough to get us started. Okay? How do we indicate absolute value? The little bars, it looks like it's in jail. This says the absolute value of x is 3. And how many different numbers have an absolute value of 3? 2. 3 and also
Negative.
Okay, in fact, every absolute value can be achieved with 2 different numbers with the exception of 0. 0 has no opposite, it's its own opposite. So every pair of opposites has the same absolute value. 3 and negative 3, 6 and negative 6, 100 and negative 100. Notice what I didn't say after I said 6. I'm very aware of it, and because I think people need to get a life. What you probably haven't done a lot of is solving absolute value equations. Well, they start out basic and then they get kind of messy. So the absolute value of x equals 3 can have 2 possibilities. So if I write this a little bit bigger, because this book is super old, what values of x could work for that? 3 would work because the absolute value of 3 is 3, but also because the absolute value of negative 3 works. So we could write x is equal to negative 3 and 3. If you're really fancy, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this symbol before. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Plus or minus. Could be positive 3, could also be negative 3. okay? But why are there two options? Because absolute value's got two ends of the number line. Either positive 3 will work or negative 3. So you're going to see two solutions a lot of the time. Okay, now some of these problems are quick, and some of them are not. Absolute value x plus 5 equals 11. What I don't want you doing is saying, I know the answer, because I promise these are going to get messy very quickly. Okay, your goal today is to isolate the absolute value. You know what isolate means. What does it mean? Get it by itself. I know you're good at this because that's what you do with equations. You get the variable by itself. Well, here we're isolating the absolute value. In fact, I want you to make a nice big note somewhere near that first example, right here. And I want you to write down, one of the keys to today is we are going to isolate the absolute value. Please put that note down. It is one of the most important things I'll tell you today. So, absolute value x plus 5 equals 11. That absolute value is not isolated. How do we get it alone? We're going to undo this plus 5. How do you undo adding 5? Each side, you get absolute value of x equals 6. And which values of x will work here? 6 or also negative 6. Which you could write with the or. You could write like this. Or, since they're opposites, if you feel like it, what did I tell you you could do? This will come up later in the course. This will actually be required later in the course. This is fine. Or you can just write the or in between. Okay, but they do both work. You're not used to equations having two solutions. You're used to them having one. These can have two. Okay? So, we're going to continue to isolate the absolute value. It is not isolated, but what will do the trick? To both sides. So, we're going to go plus 5. Plus 5. What am I left with, everybody? Absolute value of n equals 3. And then what values of n will work there?
3 and negative 3.
Good. They're not all going to be this easy. This is too easy for me to put on a test, but we got to start somewhere. Why do they both work? If I plug in 3, absolute value of 3 is 3. What's 3 minus 5? Negative 2. Does negative 3 work? Why? Because if I plug in negative 3, what would the absolute value do to it? It makes it positive. Okay? If I plug in negative 3, the absolute value of negative 3 becomes regular 3 minus 5, which equals negative 2. So both of these do work, which we'll talk about checking later on. Go ahead, question. Huh? Great question. Does anybody remember from yesterday or from 2 days ago? Why are they in braces? Wesley?
Because braces only include the numbers that are
Good. The braces, good question. Okay, good explanation. The braces mean just negative 3 and 3. That's it. Not all the values in between. If I put them in parentheses, it'd be all the values in between. Okay? Let's look at another one. The absolute value is not isolated. So what do we have to do?
Divide by 5.
Both sides. These slice. I'm left with absolute value of d equals 4. What values of d will work here? So I can either, here's how you can write your answers. You can either write them in braces, which I do that a lot.
You always have to write
Yeah. You can write negative 4 or if they're opposites only, you can do plus or minus. You have to indicate the solutions in one of those manners, okay? Questions about these? These are the baby questions. If you don't understand the baby questions, you want to say something, because they get wilder as we go on. None questions, okay? So, what happens when there's a little bit more involved going on? Like this picture. It's like a State Farm commercial, you know what I mean? It's like you're driving along and all of a sudden it's like, how did I end up in this situation? That's like what your generation knows. It's not helpful, but I'll bet you know a whole bunch of like insurance jingles. Like we are farmers.
You're in good hands.
I heard it. Exactly. I don't know why you would need to know that, but those are the most popular ads. You probably see. What about some of these? Hey, this is where people get lost. Some absolute value equations have more going on inside. Let's look at that. Absolute value 2p plus 5 is equal to 11. What's different about this one? Something very different, okay? Sophia? The plus 5 is inside, okay? That is going to really affect things. This is what they tell you in the notes, and then I'm going to show you exactly what they mean. When you're solving an equation, absolute value of A is equal to B, you actually have to, and I want you to make this note right here, you're actually going to have to solve not one, but guess what? 2 equations. Why do you have to solve 2 equations? Because of absolute value. Right, Eliza? What are you going to say?
Yeah, because there's 2 solutions because of the absolute value.
Because one is going to be, one's going to be on the positive side, where's the other one going to be? It's opposite. This is where we're going to run into some problems. Now, we don't have to run into them if you pay attention, but we have to account for the fact that this could be positive or negative. Let's look at their work. And hey, nobody will pay attention for you. I hear all the time about like, oh, I didn't know, whatever. Pay attention when you're seeing something new the first time is your best form of learning. Okay? So watch this one. Absolute value 2p plus 5 equals 11. Eliza nailed it. There are 2 possibilities. Either this inside could be 11, because what is the absolute value of 11? Or it could be, because what's the absolute value of negative 11? 11. So watch what they do. They're going to split this into 2 equations. They're going to solve 2p plus 5 equals 11, but they are also going to solve equals negative 11. I'm not saying you get to pick. I'm saying you have to solve both equations. Okay, now the solving is actually not that. Subtract 5, divide by 2, boom. What's p? 3. Subtract 5, divide by 2. Oh, p is negative 8. It's a different number. You have to check these. Please make a note. You should have this problem. Okay, you have to check. Now, do you have to write out a check step? No. You can plug them in your head. But you have to check them for reasons you will see later on. Let's verify that each of these work. Does 3 work?
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it. Let's check it. 2 times 3? Plus 5?
11.
And the absolute value of 11?
11.
Good. So 3 works. Does negative 8 work?
16 plus 5.
No, 16.
Negative 16.
2 times negative 8 is negative 16. Negative 16 plus 5 is not 11, but actually. But why does it work? Because the absolute value. Yeah. So they do both work. Okay, 1 second. Okay, that's why you have to check these. You don't have to write out check steps. You should plug them in your head and make sure that they work. They actually both work. So how would you write this solution? You would either write, I love the braces. It's really quick and easy for me to grade. You could also write this. You cannot do plus or minus here because they're not opposites. Okay, your question was first. Okay, question.
Could I put a underneath the equation put a line down the middle for one side to solve the one of the
I'll check what you're doing when we work on a couple in a little bit. You can show me what you're talking about and I'll let you know if you can or not. But you have to solve 2 equations. You know what a lot of you will do? You just won't find the second solution and you will run into problems. What do I mean by that? I mean this. That absolute value, you gotta hang on 1 second. I don't take a lot of questions while I'm going through stuff. I don't know if they picked up on that. We kind of go afterwards, okay? This is the equation we just dealt with. You cannot subtract this 5. It is inside. It is in jail. You are not allowed to subtract 5. But you know what some people will do? They will subtract 5. And then they're going to think the answer is 3 or negative 3. And it turns out one of them is right and one of them is wrong. Okay, 3 was right, negative 3 does not. Okay, so you can't actually subtract this when it's on the inside. You have to take what the book suggested. I split it and solve it for 11 and solve it for negative 11. Okay, what's your question? We're going to try to. Good? Okay, I think a couple more together and then a couple on your own. That's typically what I've done, okay? So this is the question a lot of students run into that's kind of difficult. The problem's not hard. My question is hard. And my question to you right now is that absolute value isolated? Thumb up if yes, thumb down if no. And don't look at other people. Is this absolute value isolated? Ask me, Julie, doing what we're doing. Everybody votes. Yes, no. Survey says yes. What do I mean by isolated? There's not something like this outside, like -5 plus 5, okay? It is all alone on its side, so we are good to go. But based on what we just learned, now that the absolute value is isolated, we have to split it into two equations. What are they? R minus 8 equals 5. What's the other one?
R minus 8 equals -5.
Good. You should be doing this. Okay, saying it's great. Doing it, you're just as good. Add 8 to get 13. Add 8 to get, what's the other one? Is it 3? Those are your answers. Now, for those of you thinking the absolute value wasn't isolated, you wanted to add this 8. You can't. It's inside. It's in jail. Not allowed. They do both work. 13 minus 8 is 5. Absolute value 5 is 5. Why does 3 work? What's that, Ron? 3 minus 8 is -5, but what does the absolute value do with it? Makes it 5. Well, that's a question for you more.
I thought one had to be negative and one had
Nope, great question. Nobody said one had to be negative, one had to be positive. Because these are just values of variables. When you plug them in, this whole thing can be negative or positive inside, but these don't have to be negative or positive. It's a good question. Okay? One or two more together, then I'm going to let you loose on your own. Okay? Redemption. Ignore the comma. This one, absolute value. Isolated, yay or nay? Yay. Good job. Okay? So we don't add this 5. It's in jail. We split it. What are we solving? 2x minus 5 equals?
13.
And also?
2x minus 5 equals -13.
Are these baby equations to solve? Yes. You will get a lot of baby equations, and that's fine. Add 5, divide by 2. I got 9 for one of them. Yes? Okay. Add 5. Now, why am I getting a different answer? Because I'm not adding 5 to 13. I'm adding 5 to what? Negative 13. Is that -8? Maybe? Divide by 2. -4? Let's see if they both work. 9 works. 9 times 2 is 18 minus 5 is 13. Absolute value 13 is 13. This is a winner. Does -4 work? Yeah. So let's go back to Eliza's question. It's not that one variable needs to be positive and one needs to be negative. This can come out to be 13 or -13. That's why it's a good question. Okay? Good. I think you can try the others on your own, but be careful. Okay? Actually, I'm going to say, do you want to be saved? Do you want to try it? Who wants to be saved? That's not enough. Okay, fine. You can work on your own. Go ahead. What?
If it's R minus 8, how come you don't make the 8 positive?
Ooh, because it's a whole absolute value expression. What you get after you plug in R becomes positive. You don't turn signs on that. That's actually another good question that comes up a little bit later. I'll try to come back to that. Yes?
Can I get a trick?
Just for the record, I asked who wanted to be saved, only like 2 of you put your hand up, so I'm not responsible for what happens next. I mean, I kind of am, but like, whatever. I'm responsible for enough things, I can't do everything. You enjoying the goat puns?
Yeah.
Cool. I'd like to say these pictures made more sense when we did the goat problem, but they really didn't either. I don't know if I have been. Does anybody want to be saved from this one or no?
Nah.
I feel like you don't realize, like,
Oh,
Okay. Well, what did you do first?
+5.
Plus 5, right? Then did you split it into two equations?
Yes.
So you solved 3x minus 6 equals negative 2, and what? 3x minus 6 equals 2? Okay, I mean, maybe you did fine with it. What'd you do, add 6? Divide by 3, is this 4/3? Maybe I underestimated you. Okay, make it 4/3, 1/3. Maybe I underestimated you. Oh, here's the problem. Neither of them work. Yeah, it's true. For the record, I tried to save everybody and record in the class. I can check, okay? You don't believe me? Let's watch, okay? Let's plug in 4/3. 4/3 times 3, everybody. Minus 6. But the absolute value of negative 2, minus 5, is definitely not negative 7. So that one doesn't work. Okay, so I'll bet 8 works. 8/3 times 3 is 8 minus, oh wait, 2, oh wait, this doesn't work either. Oh,
This is impossible. No solution.
remember, nobody will pay attention for you in the critical moments. You gotta do that for yourself.
Gotta
This
check.
one is, I tried to save you. I wasn't gonna make you solve the whole thing, but most of you wanted to go out on your own. Sometimes you go out on your own and like, you know, you can't swim in the deep end. That's the way it goes. Okay? Please look at this line right here. This was the correct first step. How many of you did this right away? You succeeded with the first step.
Yes.
How do you already know there's no solution? You came to me knowing there's no way this is possible. There's not a planet where we can plug a number in here, apply an absolute value, and have the end result be negative. This is no solution. I feel like you might want to make a note that an isolated absolute value cannot equal a negative. You know what's the worst part about these is if you don't pay attention to that, you will solve it and you'll get very believable answers. 4/3 and 8/3, they look fine. Don't work. There's no solution. How do you know there's no solution? I circled it in rainbow and wrote it. You have an isolated absolute value equal to a negative. There is no solution. And anybody that paid attention 2 days ago knows there's actually a way to indicate that. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
All right, work on the other 3. There's no tricks or gimmicks. They all have solutions. You can work together if you want. Might be a good idea. Why don't you work on the other 3?
That. That's pretty obvious.
Slight disrespect for my you get 10 on it.
Yeah, but you can't jump to this part yet. You have to fully, you have to move these around, isolate the absolute values, and then split it into equations. You can't split this into equations yet. You have to isolate the absolute value. Why what? There used to be a goat problem. I got rid of the goat problem. No, it used to be a good problem.
You have go to see how many tons I have in my back.
You must isolate the absolute value. That's got to be your first step. It'll also save you in the future, which we will address. Thea, remind me, when we go over this one, I'm going to go back to your question because I get asked that a lot when people want to do it. Please be very careful. Okay, these have more work to them, especially this one. Okay, I'm not impressed if you lie. I want honest answers only. I see hands up for 32 and -8.
I didn't finish.
Now watch. I have several comments on this one. This one's actually trickier. The one after it's actually a little bit easier to handle. 2 comments. 1, do not distribute across absolute value like it's parentheses. I can tell you it works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't work. And I've taught a lot of students. Most of them don't like methods that only work sometimes. So something that works all the time is isolate the absolute value. So we subtract 10, we divide by 2, you land here. Once you land here, which most of you aren't even looking, so I don't know how you would know where you're supposed to go. Once you land here, you split it into equal 10 and -10. This solving piece is not hard. This you came to me knowing how to do. Okay? So do not distribute like it's parentheses. There are major issues with it that we're not going to get into today. The other one that comes up, okay, Theo asked a question earlier. I get asked this usually at some point. He wondered, if you had something like this, shouldn't you turn the -6 into +6 because of absolute value? Was anybody wondering that earlier at all? Usually there's a couple people. It's not that you turn everything positive, it's that the result turns positive. So you can plug in any number you want, get an answer, and then the bars are what make it possible. Okay. Take a couple minutes, finish up the next 2. I'll leave that one up for a minute. Okay, finish the next 2. And if you get them done, you should check them in your head. You need to check them in your head. I'll leave that one up for a second in case you need it. But the other 2 you can work on. Please plug them in your head, make sure that they work. Can I see hands up for 3 and 0 for the next one? Usually that one goes a little bit better. 3 and 0. Please look at my work on the board if you need to. If you're still finishing the last one, that's fine. I'll give you a minute or so. Okay, that's 3 and 0. Okay, they do both work. If you don't believe me, plug them in. Those are your answers. Okay, I'll give you another minute or so to finish up the last one. Last one's not too bad. Actually, last one's probably the easiest of this one. So I think I switched you over. And then it's about to get real wild in here.
I can already see it coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
We eat that. We eat that. We eat that.
Okay, the last one. Is the absolute value isolated? No, I gotta do one thing to each side. What is it? Fun fact. You'd have to flip the sign if it was an inequality, but an equation, equal sign, if you just flip it, it's the same. Okay? Whoop. Absolute value 2w equals what, 4? Yes? 2w equals 4, or 2w equals -4, w is 2, or w is -2, which you could also write like this. Or because they're opposites, this. I do not need you to write the answer 3 ways every time. That's overkill. Just one of those 3. Okay? Good. What mistakes do I see with students? I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. The biggest is just forgetting there's 2 solutions. I can't help you if that happens unless you practice and make sure you remind yourself. Absolute value will just about always have 2 solutions with a few exceptions. The other are things like trying to take shortcuts. Okay, I don't know why. There's like some shortcuts, there's not many. So doing things like trying to distribute, trying to split, well, I'll come back to that one. Trying to split this before the absolute value. A lot of times you take shortcuts, you get lost. Okay, so I wouldn't try to take too many. Your first step, which is why I had you write it early, is to isolate the absolute value and then split. I don't know if you've noticed, once you split it, the equations are usually not that hard to solve. That's common. But you got to do the dirty work to get it down there and then solve. Okay, questions about those? Because if equations aren't good, the next section's going to just fly by it. You asking one? You sure? Okay. That's equations. Guess what else we have though too, because that's not enough. Absolute value inequalities. I know. I said it's going to get wild. I'll be curious to see if period 6 lets me save them from the no solution one. I don't think they're going to. Okay. You can write absolute value inequalities as compound inequalities. These are messy, but they're also very doable. They're extremely doable. Now, we learned this yesterday. There are 2 kinds of compound inequalities. This one that's connected, that was an and inequality. This one that was split, what was that? Or. Remember, splitsies is not a technical term. That's just a class. Okay? That's an or. The reason it can be an and or an or is because the absolute value really takes over. Watch what I mean. And again, if you're not going to watch when I tell you you need to, the questions you ask later show that. They're saying this is the graph of n minus 1 is less than 3. Okay, it's kind of strange. You would think it would be all of the lower numbers than 4. Because clearly 4 is not less than 3, right? Usually people say yes to that one. So you would think all of these would keep working. But why don't any of the numbers below -2 work? Because what's the absolute value going to do when I plug in these really large negative numbers? So none of these work. You would think I could just do any number below 4, but if I go too negative, the absolute value turns it positive. And that's why this graph looks like this. I want absolute value n minus 1 is greater than 3. Well, clearly all the big numbers will be bigger than 3. What about the really big negative numbers? The absolute value will take over and turn them positive. So that's why the graph looks like this, okay? You can manage these, but guess what? It's just a lot of work. Okay, let's actually look at a couple examples. Okay, so, a little pre-algebra throwback, but kind of a different version of it. I've asked this like 100 times today, but I'll go for 101. Absolute value v minus 3 greater than or equal to 4. The question is the absolute value isolated? Yay or nay? Yay. Good job. You all have that now. Well, just like an equation, we're going to solve 2 inequalities. We're going to solve v... I hate that the book does this. Look at the right first. We're going to solve v minus 3 is greater than or equal to 4. That is the regular inequality. They just drop the absolute value bar and then they're good. What did they change about this other inequality? Theo? And they also negated the right side. This is the algebra version of saying change. It's not the same thing. No one needs to sing it to me. I know this. Hey, this is where mistakes get made. When you're solving the second inequality, because there's always 2, regular, here, you have to change the direction of the inequality sign, and you have to negate the right side. If you miss either of those, it's going to be wrong. The solving is a piece of cake. What is it? Add 3? Child's play. Add 3. Question. Can you be less than or equal to -1 and also greater than or equal to 7? No. That doesn't mean no solution. We learned this yesterday. That means it's what? It's an or. Splitsies. You can't write splitsies on like a keystone or PSSA. You know that, right? I'm not gonna know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Okay? It is an or. Okay? Hey, these are messy. I'm gonna do these with you, but you have to decide like how much attention you want to pay here, because I would pay a good bit of attention. Okay, are there 3 at the bottom? Yeah. Okay, there's 3. Absolute value 2c minus 5 is less than 9. I know you're sick of it, but I gotta make sure you know. Is that absolute value isolated? Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to split it. We solved the regular one. You always solve the regular one where you just drop the absolute value. Anybody want to raise their hand and be bold and tell me what is the other inequality that we're going to solve? Lorenzo.
2c minus 5 is greater than -9.
Ellie, check. You like that one? I agree. Notice what we did. We flipped this and negated that. Okay, these aren't hard to solve though, right? Right? Add 5. Divide by 2. I got C is less than 7 for one of them. Add 5 over here. Divide by 2. Did you get C is greater than -2?
Yes.
Question. I ask this every time. Are there any numbers, or can you be less than 7 and also greater than -2?
Yes.
So this is an and. So I would write it like this. I call these sandwich inequalities. I don't know why. It's like the C is like sandwiched between them. It's an and. I love a good sandwich.
And.
So if it's and, what kind of circles are these going to get? And is this going to be connected or splitsies? Connected. These are very manageable, but there's a lot of ways things can go wrong. I'm trying to keep that from happening too much. That is an example. I'm going to say you try the other 2 either on your own or with somebody else. Let's just see how they go. It's up to you. You can either fly solo, or if you want to talk about it with somebody else, that's okay. It's a lot to keep track of, a lot of adding, subtracting, flipping, pop it, twist it. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Twist it.
Exactly. There's a lot going on here. I like watching people get mad at pop it. That's actually what I like. I like doing that stuff. I like watching people get upset about it.
It's a go.
I just couldn't, even though we don't do the goat problem anymore, I just couldn't get rid of some of these pictures.
Because they funny.
Well, we have the pictures. All we need is pictures. We were only doing it for the pictures, and I realized I can show the pictures without doing the goat problem.
Divide by 5. That makes no sense at all.
Okay. That means I had an effective day teaching.
It's negative. Take that back. What? It's an or. We get it.
No, he's getting that. That's the right idea.
Okay, the one with M.
That's why I got
All you need to do is split it. You don't have to isolate anything. Okay, so it's ready to go. One of the answers is gross. Okay, but I got M is greater than or equal to 33/5. That's also 6 3/5. The other one, M is less than or equal to -3. Okay, Matthew, is this an and or an or? This is an or. Good job. There's no way you can be greater than or equal to 33/5 and also less than or equal to -3. So the graph of this is gross. I wouldn't probably make it like this for you on an exam. Okay? Oh, I can't do it because, well, this is -6 and then there's another number, so I just can't do it. Give me the idea. No graph needed for this one. Finish up the last one. I do want you to graph the last one.
Thank God.
I do want you to graph the last one. I just can't. Hello? Yeah. Yep. No, because the numbers surrounding 6 have been ruined for me, so. That is the answer, though. Seriously, can't you all just move on to something else?
I'm so.
call you just
No, that was something. Move on to something else.
I'm so tempted into.
You know, whatever you move on to is probably gonna be worse.
I'm so tempted to distribute it right now. I'm so tempted. I can't stop myself.
I do want you to graph the last one. That one's safe.
Fine. You're not fine.
People, Z is one of the least popular variables, but it is.
When it's a variable I, like, don't write so I've mixed that up a lot.
Like a neighbor. Like a good neighbor, stay over there. Oh, Steve, you're a good neighbor.
Wait, I already do that. Is that bad?
Oh, do the interval notation for the last one too. Sorry, my bad. Won't take you long. We're gonna start going through it now.
Oh, I know why.
Chop.
I'm about to get it done here, so if you're dragging your feet,
No, it's white. This is I wish it's
Are you okay? Exactly.
oh, you're fine.
We are fine.
Okay, apparently not, because I'm just gonna have to blow the whistle again. Okay, let's talk about the last one. Now remember, as long as you have the last one down, you made progress. If you made mistakes earlier, but you don't make them later, you get it. You have to isolate this absolute value. Please don't distribute this 4. I could spend like 20 minutes telling you why it's a bad idea, or you could just take my word for it. It's not going to be a good idea. That's not something we do with absolute value. I would add the 8, I would divide by 4. That gets you to this critical step. This is the most critical step of all of them. Like seriously. I'm going to split it. I'm going to solve, I call it the regular. Regular just means I solve it without the absolute value. This is the most critical part. 3z plus 1, what do I have to do? Flip that and also negate that. If you miss either of those details, the answer is going to be wrong. Okay? Solve, and then you get here. Liza, a question about it before we talk about what it is. Okay, you good? Okay. How do I know if it... Question about before I get put together.
Why did we start the second, like, the opposite interval at 3z plus whatever?
Because the inside, we're maintaining the value of the inside, and then we're taking the results. So that's why these stay 3z plus 1. As long as we negate the right side, we're
When I
fine.
took that to the original version, I don't think I skipped it.
You shouldn't be, I can look at your work, but you shouldn't be splitting until you get here. Here, and then here. Yeah, now the last step is deciding if it's an and or an or. I have a couple tricks for you, but my advice is just use your brain, okay? Can you be less than 2 and greater than -8/3?
Yeah.
It's an and, okay? negative 8/3. I guess you can make it 2 2/3 if you want. Yes, I hear your complaints in the back about z's with 2's. You're not wrong. That's a thing that you can handle it. That is an and. If I was making a graph, there would be a closed circle on 2. Where is negative 8/3? It's negative 2 2/3. So it's in between negative 2 and negative 3. You see now why I didn't have you do the last one.
Yeah.
Closed,
It's getting this.
closed, connected. And I did ask you to do interval notation. It should just be within brackets. So the best way to know if it's an and or an or is to just look at the answers and ask yourself, can it be connected or do they have to be split? That's the best way because I trust your judgment. However, I have a couple tricks if you want to see them. It's goofy, but it does work. For absolute value inequalities, it can be less than. It works. Because a less than absolute value inequality will turn into an and. Let's check it. Less than and. Less than and. Okay. Well, that's less than. This is greater. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, no, you can laugh at them, but if you get these wrong, I mean, I'm trying to help you here. Great, this is an or. I refuse to put those numbers down. This is a greater. So that does help as well, okay? The other is I thought it was fictitious, but I think there's actually a real town called Gorland. I thought I was making it up years ago, but apparently I'm not. You can remember Gorland. A greater than turns into an or, a less than turns into an and. Now these are just tricks. Tricks are just to check your work. I already told you, if you just look at the numbers, you should know if it's an and or if it's an or, okay? Listen, you did pretty well, but I'm not going to lie to you. This stuff is heavy. There's a lot of ways it can go wrong. Operations, forgetting to flip, forgetting 2 solutions. You need to really take care of this assignment later very carefully because it's going to be the trickiest part of your next test, which is next week. Okay. You got it.